This session that we're going to cover right now is called SageMaker Ground Truth. It is by far my favorite service that we offer as part of SageMaker, I guess in AWS in general. It's a really awesome service. So I hope you guys like it today. I hope you like the service as well. So let's begin. Just a little bit before we begin, a little bit about me, just to really calibrate any sort of questions or conversations we might have during this or afterwards. My name is Kunal Batra. I'm a senior technical evangelist here at AWS. I worked at a lot of developer-focused companies. If you have any questions about any of those topics, feel free to ask. My Twitter handle is Kunal732. Excuse me. This is by far the best way to reach out to me, faster than email or anything else. And also, I'm really into computer vision. My favorite app so far is whether the garage door is open or closed. My parents love it. They always seem to forget whether they close the garage door, and this saves them a lot of time. I built another app that counts how many people are at the Shake Shack at Madison Square Park. That was a fun one to build. And then I just built another because I keep losing my Nintendo Wiimotes. So I created an object detection for Nintendo Switch and all the Wii controllers as well to find out where it is. The plan is to hook it up with an Alexa and just say, like, Alexa, where's my Nintendo Switch in my apartment? So that's what I do in my spare time. And a lot of these apps and everything I'm building right now, these models, use SageMaker Ground Truth. So in this session right now, we're going to be talking a little bit about machine learning and data labeling. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that you see with data labeling. From there, we're going to talk about how Ground Truth helps with those challenges. Then we'll do a demo, and then from there, I'll switch it off to you for a quick little workshop. This is an hour-long session. It's not a 2-hour session. But I do want you to play around with SageMaker Ground Truth and really get a feel for it. I think it's a really powerful service. So I know you've seen this slide quite a bit yesterday and today. I just want to run it through once more. So reinforcement learning, again, I know you saw this with the deep racer yesterday, but this is essentially learning through the consequences of your actions, right? Unsupervised learning is where you're looking at the attributes of your inputs and doing things like clustering. Supervised learning now, this is what we're going to be focusing on today. And this is similar to that garage door example, right? So every piece of data I needed for that model needed to be labeled. So whether the garage door was open, whether the garage door was closed in different situations, I needed to label it open or closed, right? And that's supervised learning. Everything needs to be labeled. And that presents other challenges within itself. And what we're trying to do with machine learning over here and supervised learning is understand the relationship between the labels and the inputs. So on the right-hand side of this screen over here, you can see on the top the MNIST data sets, which is around 60,000 hand-drawn integers, right? And each of them are labeled. So it's probably one of the most common data sets that you'll see. And in this case, this example, we're trying to show that we want to understand with machine learning the relationships between 3, 2, 5, and its corresponding photos, and what the actual predictions we want to give it. And so these labels come from a lot of places, right? With the MNIST data set, it was human labelers. You can also have historical data, machine-generated data from blogs and other areas like that to get that labels as well. So one of the questions I get asked a lot whenever we talk about creating a data set for machine learning is, how much training data do I need, right? And this is a very customized answer, a very personalized answer to what you're trying to do. So you need to think about certain things like, what's the cost of making a mistake? Is 99.9% accuracy enough when it comes to building a self-driving car, right? So that means something's going to go wrong 1 out of every 1,000 times. Is that good enough? I don't think it is. So depending on what you're trying to do, you need to see how much data you need. You need to see what your accuracy requirements are. Also, the diversity of inputs, right? If you're taking a look, for example, at 2 different images and you want to tell the difference, if they're very similar or they're very different, you're going to need more data accordingly. So you can use anything from thousands to millions of samples of data, right? And this presents a problem because you need large amounts of data for your machine learning algorithm to be accurate. And these need to be labeled, right? And so a lot of these times, humans are involved to label that data, and humans make mistakes. So this gives us an accuracy problem. And when we talk to customers, they tell us that 80% of their time to build models comes from this actual aspect of labeling. So we built SageMaker Ground Truth to help solve this, and it does three things. So first, it gives us interfaces to quickly label training data. So these are UX components, and I'll showcase that. It also gives us humans to help label that data, right? And there's three different sources for those human labelers. We'll talk about that. And it also helps improve the accuracy of the results. And when I was putting together this slide, two of my favorite examples of SageMaker Ground Truth were, one, precision agriculture. So actually, farms now can have higher yields of crops with less use of pesticides, and even water by just targeting crops at the plant level instead of the whole farm, right? So you can use less pesticides and still get a really healthy crop. And then also T-Mobile uses it, so anytime you have a question to one of their support agents, they've already trained a model, so they'll have possible answers already pulled up the moment they see your question. And so Ground Truth is a part of our SageMaker platform. And to go over those items I was talking about before, the first thing is it gives you the pre-built labeling workflows, right? So if you have a problem that needs to be image classification, what's in an image detection, you can have your labelers do bounding boxes, and we make that really easy to do. Text classification, semantic segmentation, where you want to know what's in an image at the pixel level. You might even have a custom use case, like audio classification, which we don't have a UX flow for, but you can make that yourself, right? So you can create your own custom labeling workflows as well. The second thing we give you is the pool of labelers. So you have three options you can choose from: public, private, or vendors. Public connects with our Amazon Turk workflow, so you can have access to over 500,000 labelers from there. You also have, you can use only private workforce, so people within your own organization who might have expertise that require, or there might be privacy requirements. And then you can use third-party vendors who also have their own special domain expertise that you might need for labeling certain pieces of data that you can access. So those are the labelers. The third thing that Ground Truth does is helps with the speed and accuracy of labeling, right? So this is done in two things: annotation consolidation, where you can get a bunch of people to label that same piece of data, so that'll be accurate, and also automated data labeling, where you don't actually need humans. It'll also create a separate model on the side to help label your data even faster. So we'll talk about those two things as well. All right, so can anyone tell me what that dog is? Sorry, I can't hear anything. Pitbull, Shar-Pei. I've heard bulldog before as well. So if we were the human labelers and we wanted to label this image, right now we have three different answers over here, right? And this is pretty common when human labelers are looking at data to label. So in this example, for the slide over here, we have four different labelers. The first one said bulldog, second Shar-Pei, third and fourth bulldog as well. So now when humans are labeling this image of a dog over here, in this case with majority voting, you are going to get a result that this is a bulldog. But this is incorrect, right? Now with Ground Truth, we want to help with this, and we take advantage of probabilities in the Bayes theorem. We can now start taking a look at how accurate each labeler is, right? So now we assign these scores of how accurate they are, and then even though only one person said Shar-Pei and three people said bulldog, the answer is still going to be Shar-Pei. And so to take advantage of this probabilities, we're using something called expectation maximization. And this is a link over here to the mathematical paper that we're using to actually help get you those results, right? Help make it more accurate. I put this link on here because I thought it was a great paper and explained it really well. So if you're interested in learning more on how we do that behind the scenes, definitely check out that paper too. So the other thing I mentioned was we do active learning and auto labeling, and essentially what this means is you have your pictures that you want to get labeled. So right now you can see it's a dog. We want to also draw bounding boxes so we know where the dog is. we're going to start sending that to humans to go ahead and do that for us. And then after about 1,000 images are labeled with ground truth, we're going to create a separate model over here. And then instead of sending it to the humans for every new picture that needs to get labeled, we're going to send it to our model. And then that's also going to provide the results back for our data set. But if that results, if the confidence score is low, we'll go ahead and keep sending it back to the humans. And then from there, we're going to go into this loop so we can keep building up this model. That way we can, we don't have to pay the cost for using human labeling. We can use active learning to help speed that up and also reduce cost as well. So from this point over here, I'm going to switch over to showcase how this works. After that, then we'll kind of switch over to the ground truth workshop session where you can kind of follow along with what I did. It's a PDF I created over here, so you can feel free to kind of load that up right now, or you can load it up right after I showcase how this works. So let me get out of my PowerPoint presentation over here. I'm going to switch over to Chrome. You can see I have loaded up right now the data I got labeled for the Nintendo Switch video I was showcasing earlier. So let me just start fresh right now. I'm going to open up a new tab, and then I'm going to access the console, right? So I'm going to go to console.aws.amazon.com. I'm going to log in, so I got logged out. And then from here, we're going to go to SageMaker. Obviously, there's a couple of ways to go there. You can search for SageMaker in this little search tab over here, or you can scroll down to where it says machine learning. You're going to see the first link is Amazon SageMaker. So we're going to click on that. And then you can see one of the first icons of photos we have here is ground truth, labeling jobs. So we're going to click on labeling jobs. And from here, you can see I've created a bunch of labeling jobs. We're going to create one right now as well. And I didn't know what to showcase before I started this presentation. So I thought I'd do something pretty simple. And what's that? So I got a bunch of these photos of cats and dogs, right? And so you can see over here, I got photos of cats and then photos of dogs. And we're going to label this, get this data set labeled, right? So part of this workshop is for you to use these same images and have it labeled for you. So in this case over here, we're going to go ahead and start that process. So first thing we need to do is put this in S3. Have our images live in AWS. We're going to call this, what should I call this? Cats Workshop 2020. Next, we're going to create that bucket. Next, create bucket. What is this? Cats Workshop 2020. So now we're going to just put all our images in S3. Upload this, and now we have all our images in AWS, right? So now let me again go back to SageMaker. So go back to the beginning, SageMaker. Click on labeling jobs. And as soon as we click on labeling jobs, you're going to see this button in the top right saying create labeling job. We're going to click on that, and this is going to give us the screen. Oh, this is kind of small. Let me make this bigger. Is that better for everyone, or should it be a little bigger? Is that good? Okay. So this is the screen that's going to let us create our labeling job and then either choose a public workforce to label our photos or label it ourselves. So the first thing we're going to do over here is just give it a name for the labeling job. We're going to call this Workshop 2020. From here, we're going to say, where does our photos live, right? So I just created an S3 bucket called Cats Workshop 2020, so let's put it in there. And I have a bad habit of opening up a bazillion tabs. So you're going to have to watch me go through each one here until I remember which one I used. There we go. So S3, and then we're going to say Cats Workshop 2020. first thing we're going to do is do something called create a manifest file. And you're going to see this link over here. And this is really simple. The manifest file link over here is just saying, I need a list of all your images. So you just put once you click on that link, you just put that bucket in there, and it'll go ahead and create the manifest file. And this is how it looks like. It's just a JSON list of JSON objects of all of the images that are in that bucket over here. So it's really simple. It's just what's required by ground truth. So now we're going to say use this manifest. You're going to have to create your own S3 bucket, and that's going to be part of the link I have in the workshop as well to showcase that. So now that you have, this is where all the photos are. This is the list of photos that you're going to label. We're just going to, it's asking for where do you want the results of this to be. So we're just going to say that same bucket. And the next thing is asking for an IAM role. So it just needs permission to work with that bucket. So we're just going to create a new role for this. We're going to give it that bucket name over here, Cats Workshop 2020. Say create. And I'm walking you through this right now, but there's step-by-step instructions that you're going to get right after this as well. The next thing it asks, what type of labeling job are you trying to do? Is this image classification, bounding boxes, segmentation, or verification? We're going to say image classification because we want to know, are these images cats or dogs? We're going to press next. And then in the following screen over here, we're going to give it a couple of options. Do you want the worker types to label this Mechanical Turk? Do you want it to be a private workforce or a third-party vendor? If you want it to be a private workforce, you have to create a private team in advance. I've already created one. In this instance, we can just say Mechanical Turk. To label all of these images, it's going to be about $1.20. So I know everyone here was already given $70 worth of credits before joining. I'm going to give you guys, all of you, another $25 worth of credits because I love this service and I hope you can use this more than just for today. So I'll have my email up at the end. Just feel free to email me and I'll just give you another $25 worth of credits as well. So from here, I'm just going to say 0.012, which is the smallest price. Altogether, to label all of these images, it's going to cost $1.20 again. So I'm just going to say it does not contain any adult content. I agree that the Turkish will look at this data. We're not going to enable automated data labeling because that needs over 1,000 images, so I'll leave that blank. And this is the interface that the human labelers will see when they see this data needs to be labeled. So I'm going to give it a description here. Please select the correct animal. And then we're going to give it two choices, cat, dog. And then from here, you can just give it examples of a good label or bad label. So we can say that label over here, cat, this is correct because the image below has a cat. And then we can replace this image box over here with an actual image of a cat by hitting this image icon where my mouse is right now, and then putting the URL of the image. So this is how you can build up that interface. Let's preview this right now as well. So this is what the Amazon Turk workers will see. They'll see an image like this, cat or dog. They're going to see these instructions. In this case, the instructions say, please select the correct animal. And then from here, you can say cat or dog. And you can see I'm toggling between both on the right. So in this case, it's a cat. From here, we're going to hit submit. And then on the top over here, if you can see that, this is the results it gives us, right? So it'll create another file. It's going to have the file names. And with that file names, it's also going to have, this is the label cat or dog, right? In this case, it's a really simple use case, but these tend to be much more complex, whether it's coordinates for like a bounding box or something else. So make it smaller. Okay, so we go back here, and then we can click Create, and that'll go ahead and create the labeling job that'll be sent to Mechanical Turk. So let me go back over here. Just one more thing before we start the workshop portion. I just talk about pricing. The way the pricing works is It starts off, the first 1,000 objects are free for the first 2 months after you sign up for SageMaker. Otherwise, then we charge 0.08 8 cents per object that you want up to the first 50,000 objects, plus the duration time. So in this case, I chose the cheapest duration, the under 5 seconds, because it was a quick task. But if you have a really complex task, you can go anywhere up to 4.5 to 5 minutes, and that charges $1.20 for each one. All right, so let's switch over to the workshop portion. This will give you a PDF file with a bunch of instructions on it. I created this, so if there are any mistakes or anything, feel free to let me know. Happy to correct that, and if you have any questions, I'll be walking around as well. Everyone, so we're seeing a couple of issues pop up, and we believe it's being caused by the other event engine accounts. So if you do see an issue when creating in the workshop, switch over to your own personal AWS accounts, and that should solve the issue. And then later on for the next session, you can switch back to event engine.
create a manifest file, will automatically play the manifest tab.
So like you gotta like minimize it. I just wanna.
Oh, look at that fucking name. Just what I said.
There's all these tabs.
You had to people done this. One with the
Yeah.
so you said robots. I see what you're saying. This is fucking name. I didn't understand what you were saying before. And you said like using an algorithm to beat a turtle. Wait, how do they know this time? We just have we need to log out.
Be able to see this thing?
No, you'll need to create a new bucket in your personal account and then upload the images there. So you know, I'm not sure why try to automatic. It's funny. They heard me.
Hey everyone, so I noticed a lot of people are still getting that access denied issue. Again, that's due to the using the event engine account, the other account that was provided to you. If you use your own personal AWS account, that should solve that issue. I'm still walking around, so if you need help or you're still having that, feel free to ask and I'll just resolve that right now. And then in the meantime, while I'm resolving this, I want to put on some more links or resources to learn more. I spoke about that expectation maximization paper. I do recommend checking it out. And there are two other examples over here to check out. The ground truth examples on GitHub, how to take what you just got labeled and put it into an actual image classification model and train with it. A lot of great resources right over here for that. And then there's a great blog post over here to learn more about what we just did here today as well. And just really quickly, I want to just click on that blog post. I might already have it up. Okay, so I just wanted to point this out. I thought it was really interesting. You can see these two bars over here, the blue and the orange, majority vote versus kind of the probabilities that we saw. So you can see in the beginning with majority voting, if you have two people who are just trying to figure out what that right thing is, is it a Shar-Pei, is it a Bulldog? With the more people you have, you can kind of see that it starts equaling, it starts getting close. The probabilities will always be a little bit better, what we call the modified Dewey Skeen, but with the more annotators you can start seeing that it starts getting closer together. I thought that was interesting. But again, check out this blog post. I'll put the link back up again if you want to learn more about this. All right, and I'll just walk around and start helping everyone out. This is first. All right, a second.